Responsibility develops with the knowledge of what it means to be responsible. A small child can begin to be told about responsibility and given practical exercises such as mowing the lawn in developing it. And he can begin to get the idea that the time will come in his or her life when he or she must properly be on his own. This is elementary responsibility, and every parent who really loves their child, who cares for their child, who understands a little bit himself about life, will most certainly give that child responsibility so that the main lesson behind it will begin to develop early. The lesson that you are here on earth to live your life, not someone else's life, and not try to steal someone else's life, but to develop your very own existence here on earth. If a child can begin to get the lesson that's given to him, and which is so often failed to be given to him, if a child can see that he must do certain things in order to gain other things, that idea will become properly fixed in his mind. As much as he rebels against it at the start, any little child, the first time a parent tells him, now you empty the trash, you take it from the out to the alley back there. The first several times, he's not able to understand it. Why? Because up to this point of his life, everything has been done for him. As he gets to be 5, he develops certain elementary responsibilities. Gets to be 10, he develops more. Now, a person who has developed this elementary responsibility is the only person who is qualified to shift from social responsibility to spiritual responsibility. You remember how often we've said here that only if your intellect, your mind, your ordinary intellect begins to work properly can you begin to rise above it. Because if you use it to the full extent that you can use it in running your business and taking care of your home, you will see that indeed there are limitations to it. And when you see the limitations of your mind, it makes you very curious and very eager to see if there's something higher than that elementary responsibility. But you must take your social responsibilities not because you're forced to do them, but because you see that they're a natural outcome of your present level, a present necessity of your present level. And that way you don't resent them, you just go ahead and do them because you know they're the right thing to do, and you understand that they are maybe the 3rd or 4th or 5th grade, which if you perform them properly, you can go on up to higher grades until the time comes, maybe, in some cases, where you've seen that you have done all you can for yourself, and you're still not happy. You're not fulfilled. And isn't this strange now? Here you're successful, maybe you have a nice home, and you have all the things that society says you should have. You have all these things, and yet you still feel cheated, and it's a very confusing emotion, because you feel as if you've missed something, but what is it? You look around, what is it? I've got everything you said I should have, the money, and the home, and the car, and the power, and the influence. I've got all that, and yet there's something missing. One of the most terribly successful rejection of the truth that's trying to tell us we're on the wrong track and put us on the right track. One of the most commonplace rejections is ignoring. Is being very careful that you're in a position where you can ignore the gnawing the haunting that's going inside of you, so that you can ignore it and do something exciting instead. This will make it necessary for you to have a stock of angry responses ready at any given moment. Because at any given moment, no matter where you go, there's always this sensing way deep down inside that you are being irresponsible, that you're not taking proper adult responsibility, spiritual responsibility for yourself. And your lives are then spent in finding ways to get out of doing what you know you must do. What I've described to you, these external things, is a very, very small part of the person's world in which he's beginning to wonder why he isn't fulfilled. And he'll look inward to himself and ask himself all sorts of questions. He'll say, well, maybe it is indeed something inside me. I know what it is. I'm not spiritual enough. So he'll get what he calls a religious experience of some kind. Or he'll get whatever he calls kind of excitement that seems to satisfy him. The inner and the outer working together. Only the person who keeps the question alive will ever come to the final right conclusion of what his responsibility is in life. Now, keeping the question alive means to never settle for any kind of an answer you can get out of your own mind or the mind of any other human being. This means you're going to have to search not in just 1,000 places, because this is the characteristic of the mind, to search, but 10,000 places. And when you get to 10,000, you'll say it's the 10,001. And when you get to 50,000, you'll say it's 50,001. It's always the next, right? It's always the next thing that's going to fill up this void, this heartache, this sadness in the face and the sadness in the voice. If you keep the question alive, but what is it, long enough, and keep going long enough till everything is exhausted, you will then indeed come to the question, the right question: what is my true responsibility as a human being who's been put here on earth? The question will become the answer will become very clear to you. You've heard the question, and the answer becomes very clear after, just to pull a figure out of the air, after 100,000 goals, aims, whether you've succeeded or failed in them, so that you never again ask the question, what is the next thing, and will that do it? Because you know there is no answer. You can't figure it out. You can't figure it out because you just said that you're religious or spiritual or you're a positive thinker. If you were all these great things, how come you're still a victim? You are, and you know it, and I know it. I'm trying to lead you to another world which, when you live in it, this will be the one world for you, even while living in this one. When you live in the other world, you also live in this one, and this one becomes completely easy, becomes very light. No burden at all. It's no burden because you're not a part of this old world's burden. You're living in the other world. And you'll go out and conduct your business, or you'll be an employee somewhere. You'll talk to people. You'll live in a home with other people, or you'll live alone, whatever your choice might be. See, the problem in giving a talk like this is that I'm talking about things which your present irresponsible mind can't comprehend. And one characteristic of an irresponsible mind is to reject that which does not conform to its previous concepts. A lazy mind looks out, and then as it's flattered, it says that is wrong. Unless someone agrees with it, it says that person is wrong. That's what a lazy mind does. Among the other things we're trying to do in this class is to cease to be lazy, is to jolt ourselves awake and begin to try to understand where we make the mistake. And already tonight you've been told perhaps 24 ways in which you've made a mistake. For example, the idea of setting up a hero who's going to rescue you. And that hero that you set up, whoever you might be, whatever it might be, your dream of the future, for example, that hero is going to be a projection of your own low mind. So what you are really worshiping is yourself. What greater horror could there be than you worshiping the self that has kept you in the state, the dark state that you're in right now? Do you understand that this is what you're doing? If you've fallen into a ditch 6 feet deep, here's this ditch going for miles down the countryside, and you fall in it, the easy thing to do is to stay in the ditch and walk along and complain that someone dug a ditch there, or they didn't put enough warning lights there, or someone pushed you in there. And you can have a great time for the rest of your life walking down in that miserable ditch, hating, complaining, and not having to make a single effort to reach up and put your hands up on either side of it and vault out. Because there's something wrong with man's mind, whereas he would rather stay there and walk along and complain rather than put his hands up and get out. And if you tell him, look, man, you're very stupid. You fall into the ditch. The only intelligent thing to do is to climb out. Don't call yourself intelligent. Call yourself stupid, because that's what you are. We're developing in this class as an elementary responsibility the urge to get out of that ditch. It's so confining, isn't it? Look, all you've got on both sides of you is this cold, hard dirt and rocks, and it's miserable down there. But one other utterly fantastic thing that a human being does when he's down in that ditch, he says, great, all I have to do is follow the ditch. I don't have to think about where to go. The ditch decides where I go. Do you still think human beings are intelligent in any way at all? If it goes left, all I have to do is go left. It goes right, I'll have to go right. If it goes downhill, uphill, all I have to do is follow. Thank heaven I don't have to be responsible for myself. That's right. That's true. You don't have to if you don't want to. And you'll be a miserable little wretch, useless to yourself and to everyone else. You can put a mental movie in your mind in which you pretend you are not in the ditch, but you're up there somewhere in a beautiful field, having fun, chasing around. I don't care how much you imagine that you're happy. You're not going to be, because those walls are reminding you of it every minute. You know you're restricted. You know that you have no freedom of your own, no liberty at all. But imagination and emotion and self-deception can make you think that you're actually up there and having fun. You're a powerful person in this world. You're loaded with money, or you're on the way, or you have all these fond memories of the past, in which you did have it made, and you cling to those, all that's part of the ditch. We will help you in this room to put your hands up, reach up, make an effort, and learn how to vault out of there so that you're not tormenting yourself all day long, all night long, with dreams that will never come true. I'll guarantee you, your dreams will never come true. And why? So why do you dream at all? Why did you get to where the reality is everything that you really need, everything that you really want is out there? Can you understand your inner state? Can you admit that your inner state is one of confusion, it's one of complaint, it's one of bitterness, it's one of very heavy with resentment toward other people and toward life? Can you honestly admit it right here in this room? Or are you so far gone that you are not capable of simple honesty? You had better not go any further down that ditch, because the longer you go down it, the less chance you have for seeing that you're walking in it. Do you understand that? Because the dream becomes more hardened. You refuse to see where you are. Instead, you build a dream world for yourself. And you can't figure it out, can you? You can't figure it out how, if you have it made in your dreams, why you keep feeling these cold walls on both sides of you. And the roots of that tree intrude into the ditch, and you bump into it, and you get mad. You can't figure out why all these, listen to this, you can't figure out why all these unfortunate, painful, scary things continue to happen to you. All these frustrating experiences come along. You can't understand it. You can't understand it because you don't see that another dark part of you insists it knows the answer. How can I tell you with words? This side says, I've got the answer. All right. All right. This side says, I've got the answer. This side pounds at you and says, but I'm miserable. Now, there's a contradiction there. There are enemies there. I know what to do to be happy. All right, if you know what to do to be happy, how come this exists? If you really knew, if you really understood, there wouldn't be an opposite to it over here. There would just be happiness. You better stop right where you are in the ditch. Stop right there and take a look around. You look over to your right and you see all that wall there, that cold, wet wall. You see the rocks poking out of it. And then you look over this side, over to the left. You see the same wall over there, and you look down and you see the mud at your feet. If you see that thoroughly, a beautiful thing will happen to you. Now listen, let's go back a little bit. You look to the right-hand wall of the ditch. You look to the left-hand wall of the ditch. You look down at the ground, and you see all that dirt and all that lowness. If you really see it and see where you are, there will be a great tremor go through you. The tremor is the shattering of the dream, of the imagination you have that you know the answers to life. Because if you know the answers to life, what am I doing here in this ditch? See? You're beginning to question your lie that I have the answers to life. Now, having gone through that stage of real sincerity, having looked at the left, having looked at the right, and having looked down, there's only one place left to look. And you now sense for the first time what direction that is. And you now know it too, don't you? You can't go left, you can't go right, you can't go down. There's one direction left, and that's up. Now, if you go through these stages and begin to look up, and you see the sky up there, you see the vastness of it, Just a glimpse of it, of course, because you're still in that ditch. But you can look up, and you, for the first time in your whole life of trudging that ditch, can see the difference between down and up. For all your life, you took down as up because your imagination said it. Your imagination insisted. Your conceit and your anger and your self-centeredness insisted that this is what the sky is. Then comes the second tremor. That's the sky, and this is the earth. I now see the difference because I can compare them. And the shock goes through you all the time. Believe me, this is a great, marvelous, truly spiritual experience, which comes at the end of the responsibility, taking first your elementary responsibilities, then your higher ones. Your higher ones being to get rid of your lies. And you look up and you see the sky. What new feeling do you think is going to follow as you see the difference between where you actually are and that up there? I'll tell you what it's going to be, and you know. It's going to be this urge we talked about, this different kind of a desire, this wish, this yearning, this longing to get up there. Now you're on the way. And like most real spiritual aspirants, you put your foot on the side of the left bank, try to get a footing, and you'll fall. And you try the right side, and you'll fall down. You'll fall back into that ditch 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. You've got a glimpse up there. You've seen the sky. You know what light is like. You know what light is authentically like now. And the time, the beautiful time will come when you will no longer fear your own evil. You will no longer look at yourself and be ashamed of what you see. Because there's no seer who says, that's me. You said it all your life, which is what kept you in the ditch, because you wouldn't look and see all these things going through you. Because you didn't want to have to call yourself by those names, and you had better not anymore. You'd better not call yourself anything at all. So that when you see these fierce sex thoughts, gentlemen, when you see these mad sex thoughts, or you see these hate thoughts, ladies, see these greedy thoughts of how you'd like to have all that money, no matter what you do to people, you want all that money. All these viciously lying thoughts about how you want all that power. Ooh, if I just had power to kill other people. Yeah. Freedom consists of seeing all these things and doing the right thing with them, which is the state which I just described of no longer being afraid of your own sickness. As long as you're afraid of your sickness, that is part of the sickness. The fear of your sickness is the sickness itself. You can look and you can say, and listen, this comes a long ways off. Don't you dare think you can say it now. Don't you distort what I'm telling you. Or you'll deceive yourself, and your latter state will be worse than your first. The time will come when you know that evil, those diabolical actions that go through you, thoughts, feelings, you know absolutely that they are not you, but they're trying to make you think they are. But all these years of hard work have finally paid off. Thank God. And when you say this, you will know what you're talking about. You will know what you're feeling. You will know it's true, it's right, it's marvelous, it's beautiful. And it's not you at all. It is happening. You are not making it happen. You didn't try to go to it. It came to you. The truth, the power came to you. Truth has won. And you understand what that means. It means the defeat of your conceited self, the self-glorified self. The defeat of that is victory for God, which is the same thing as victory for you. You want it? You want it? Then you ask for it in the right way.